What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in. It's the Brass Ring Media Podcast for Friday, January 3rd, 2025. I have it written down right here because I was like, I'm going to say 2024. It's not going to be good. It's 2025. Crazy to say that, but it is. How's it going? This is the premiere episode of the Brass Ring Media Podcast on the One True Sport Network. We are pumped to be here. I'm Zach Haydorn. I'm one of the hosts of the show. Tyler, that's Tyler Sage. He's the other host that way. Tyler, man, what's going on, dude? Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year. Good to be here. It's exciting. Looking forward to, hopefully getting some new people in here on a regular basis with our dialogue, our take on talking pro wrestling and all that good stuff. So hopefully this is a nice little sample if you haven't heard us before.
Yeah, for sure. And we're pumped to be here. We're pumped. So we've been doing our thing over at Brass Ring Media for, I guess like a year and a half now. If you haven't followed our work over there, you can in a variety of different spots. We have our own Brass Ring Media YouTube channel with lots of different content on it and videos and takes and shows and all sorts of stuff. But for the purposes of this, we will be doing all of our live shows. So all the live shows that we do kind of in our Brass Ring Media realm and our Brass Ring Media ecosystem are not going to be here at One True Sport. So that includes this show with Tyler and I twice a week. We have a Saturday morning show going up now with Ashley Mans. She does a great show, the Kick Ash Podcast, every single Saturday morning. 10 a.m. Eastern, that you're not going to want to miss, and all sorts of other times throughout the week that will definitely keep you up to speed on. But if you're brand new and you are checking us out for the first time, subscribe to One True Sport on YouTube, subscribe to Brass Ring Media on YouTube, and check out everything that we've got going on. It's going to be a really, really big year for both us and for One True Sports right here. So thank you to everybody who's joining. I do have super chats enabled. Of course, if you're able and willing to contribute to the show in that way, we certainly would appreciate it. And I have a live chat open as well. So if you want to do that and just hang out there, we've got Eddie's in the chat already. It says, "What's up? Welcome, Tyler, and good afternoon, Zach." And also a question that I'm going to save, Eddie, because we'll hit that topic. But I definitely want to save that. Sean's in our live chat. Sean says, "What is up, guys? Congrats for moving to One True Sport. So thankful for what you guys always bring talking wrestling." Thank you, Sean. It means a lot. Sean was a day one member of Brass Ring Media, and we certainly appreciate all of his support. And so thank you, Sean, for that. It's great to get this show in front of more eyes because we're proud of what we do at Brass Ring Media. We're proud of what One True Sport is building, and there's a nice synergy there. So thank you for saying that, Sean. And we'll talk more about Brass Ring Media membership here in a little bit. But let's get down to it, Tyler. New year and a lot happening in professional wrestling here in the next few days. Like I feel like it's going to get really crazy really soon. I mean, we've got a 3-hour SmackDown tonight. We've got Raw on Netflix on Monday, Wrestle Kingdom Saturday, Wrestle Dynasty this Sunday, Royal Rumble, TNA Genesis, another Saturday night's main event. I mean, like it's just absolutely crazy. So there's a ton of places where we could start, and we haven't chatted in a little bit because of the holidays. But let's start with AEW. And just kind of a state of the state on them coming out of World's End, which was on pay-per-view this past weekend. We did a full review of the show for our members. You can find Brass Ring Media membership on Patreon. Just search us on Patreon, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. But the lay of the land over there, Tyler. I mean, where do you think they're in a good spot heading into 2025? I think they've made some good adjustments. I think the smaller arenas have looked really good for them. I think that's like a small thing, but also a small thing that could have a really big impact. But when I kind of expand past that, I I don't know a lot of like very, very interesting places that they can take things at this point. And that's not to say they can't. I think they've set up some key stuff. You know, we're going to have Adam Copeland against John Moxley. Okada and Omega are going to wrestle down the road.
That's not his name.
Oh my God.
Save that for, I have positives. Save that for later.
Okay. Well, yeah, that definitely goes in the negative category. But what are the positives of AEW right now heading into the new year as you see it, and as as they kick off on Max and start this new TV deal?
Yes, first and foremost, I expect a consulting check in the mail for both you and I, because AEW did two very key things that we've been harping on for the last 18 months, the existence of our little shop here. And that was, you know who their stars are, right? Everybody that is a star was featured on the show, whether it be live or video package, right? Like MJF, Mariah May, they had video packages.
Yep.
You have Cope, you've got Swerve. I guess who we're missing? Ospreay, but he had a video package.
Yeah,
they showed him what he did. So like they've done like, hey, these are our, Mercedes is on the show. Julia Hart's on the show. Like they've basically shown you, hey, these are our 4 women, our 8 guys that we are running with. Also, 2 people on the desk I loved. I like Nigel. I don't like his dynamic all the time as being like early stage Corey Graves, being just like annoying heel shtick 24/7. I do think he's a good commentator. But so just Shivani and Excalibur with the occasional, MVP hopping on, what have you. Good call. But what they really did on commentary is they acted like you'd never seen the show before. And that was the first time I could ever remember any AEW broadcast being like, hey, here's like a little backstory of why this is important for this character or whatever, right? Like they didn't do an A+ job of that, but just the fact they did it, I was like, wow, this is like new year, new AEW locked in. We'll see how long it goes. But so that was all pretty good. I like the stuff with Ricochet, and Swerve. I think that's like a big blood feud situation that keeps Swerve as a top guy, as he's not going for a belt. You've established what you want MJF to do. So I think a lot of positives on the show. Again, like another episode or like pay-per-view episode where the main event didn't feel like a main event. It felt like the best thing had already happened on the show. So that's like a negative. But all those like outside the ring things, the arena size and just like, hey, here's our stars. Here's who you're going to see. I liked it a lot from that perspective.
Yeah, I really did too. I really did too. I thought they did a nice job, like you said, featuring like the talent that are important. And I think a lot of those talents like did some good stuff. Like we talked a lot about Ricochet like on the show when he debuted. Like, okay, boy, wow, what does he do now? And on Dynamite this week, I mean, Ricochet was the most like compelling, I think, character on the whole show. I mean, when have you seen like that viciousness from Ricochet? What have you seen that like personality from him, where there's a little bit of an edge there, but it's heelish? I mean, yes, he lost to Okada, but the heel turn, I mean, that's a good trajectory for him. And Sean in the live chat or in the super chats here, and thanks so much, Sean, appreciate the support, says, is a Ricochet feud beneath Swerve? And I don't think so. I don't think that it's beneath him at this point in the way that Ricochet is kind of being presented to everybody. Like, I think in Tony Khan's mind, this is a presentation of Ricochet as like an upper tier player, as an upper tier guy. And I think he's trying to, I think like the strategy here was bring him in, let him be a babyface for a little bit because he's going to get that babyface pop, do the match with Will Ospreay. People are going to love that. And then, okay, and now we'll really get into the nitty gritty with him. And so I think that's where he is. So I would say no to that, Sean. What about you, Tyler? Is it below Swerve to like be feuding with Ricochet at this point?
No, I mean, I don't think so. At least the way everything you laid out there. I think Ricochet is on the same level as a Jay White. I think they're pretty even on the face heel status. And that's like for Swerve, who's doesn't have a title, is not going for some secondary title just to do it. This is a much better course of action for him and his character. And, where does that align with Hurt Syndicate? Obviously, both parties have emasculated Ricochet. in a way that turned him and gave him this story, which I like. So, and they're just getting crazy babyface pops as it is anyway. So if that's like a correlation that you get them together and, what is it? Is it Lashley and Swerve versus Caster and Ricochet? That's that we're getting off the rails there, I think, at that point with the Max Caster piece. But, I think there's more and there's layers of the story. It's not the bloodline, but I think there is an ABC, maybe even a D in this storyline to take these guys 2-3 months, which I like.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I mean, so when you look up and down the roster, thanks, Sean. Appreciate you, man. And super chats are open, you guys. So thank you for and thank you in advance for any contribution you can make. We'll get to all super chats on the show, and appreciate the support, whether it's a question or a comment or hey, stop talking, whatever it is. We'll read it if it's appropriate. Yeah, I think that part of the company, like when you look at how it's structured, what the hierarchy is, that in the last like month and a half in particular, I think rolling into the new year here has solidified itself. I think you have like your upper tier, batch of guys, right? Will Ospreay, John Moxley, Swerve Strickland, those guys are there. And then you've got kind of like the tier below them, and then you got like the tier below them. And at least now you have some tiers. What I still think that if you're Tony Khan, you really want to look at those tiers and even like kind of tier out those tiers. Like I still think you need to find like your signature guy, like not your Hulk Hogan in like the Hulk Hogan sense, but like who's the guy that's carrying the company? Who's the guy that's going to be on all the posters and at all the live shows? And who's the guy that you sell tickets with? And I think that guy's on the roster right now. And that's why I think it's pivotal that Tony Khan like look at that roster differently than just tiers now that he has them. But it's like, who's the top guy on this main tier? Okay, it's Moxley right now because he's the champion, but like who's the guy that's going to beat him and kind of supplant him, at someday? I still think they need to find in 2025 that signature star to really attach the company to, like Cody in WWE. I think they need that. I mean, every strong wrestling promotion in history has had that at some point. And I think, at this point, I don't know why AEW would be the exception to that rule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially where they are in the history of the company, right?
Right.
Of where that is. It's in the right timeline to make that choice. And yeah, I mean, you even had Jeff Jarrett, who was that for TNA, right? So
yeah, for better or worse. Yeah.
Yeah. At least he was that too. So yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. And I think they're probably in the same boat with the women, with the woman to take that role in that division as well. Mercedes or Tony Storm, obviously the two options there. And, if you have a babyface version for the men's side, I think Mercedes being the heel version on the women's side is a good balance as well. So that would, same, but, with the women's division, I think is also important to reestablish that because it's still, with what's coming up in NXT, presumably at some point in 2025 for WWE, it's going to be back to the AEW women's division is lacking compared to WWE, which it has not been, at least from a talent perspective.
So let's talk about the title picture, the world title picture in AEW. Mm-hmm. John Moxley is holding the title. He held it for a decent chunk of the last part of 2024. Clearly, his story of kind of holding the world title hostage and kind of running AEW in his vision is the central kind of arc of the company. Have they lost the thread in that though? Like, is he just kind of a heel champion now? I think that there's things to like there because Moxley, more than anybody, I think does present as like that signature top guy. At the same time, he's playing the role of a heel and he's like kind of taking over a company, kind of, but not really, because he shows up where he needs to and he does the promotion that he needs to and he wrestles so like there's a lot of parts of this story that don't connect up properly. And at a time, I think that you could look at it and go, well, there's more to come. There's more to come here. And now I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not so sure that there is more to come. And maybe that's a good thing, because AEW hasn't habitually been able to land the plane on like big long-term stuff like that. So maybe it's good that it's just Moxley heel and you're going to have all the baby faces chase him. I think that's a disappointment if you were expecting some kind of grand reveal in regards to Jon Moxley in this heel role as champion. But if you can get past that, I think it's actually good for the company just to have this heel champion that your baby faces are chasing, and he's going to run through them all until the time comes for him not to. And I'd be really stingy with that if I was Tony Khan in 2025. Like, you got to be super mega over in a real way, not in a, acclaimed does funny raps kind of way, but like, like Will Ospreay level type over to take that title off him. And so disappointment in some ways, but I think kind of by accident, they stumbled into something here that I think is actually going to be better for the company long-term from their championship perspective. So I'm disappointed that it didn't get off the ground like it wanted to, but I think now looking where things are going and like where the company is right now, I think that just like a badass heel is the kind of the way to go. And I think it's simple. It's to the point, but you know what? I think AEW needs that right now.
Yeah. Unless they have MJF fight Moxley. Then we're in a confusion zone, as the promo stated.
See, like, yeah, I did not. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. You got Cope coming up next. Whoever's going to win this Casino Battle Royal.
Yes.
Gauntlet. Casino Gauntlet.
Casino Gauntlet. Yeah.
I forget the machinations there. Is that at Revolution?
That's next
the one that's like, I'm saying, but like, if you win it, you get the match next week also.
Oh, no. Sorry. I hear what you're saying. No, you get the match at that like Carnage event that they're putting on. Like Capital Carnage or whatever. I think it's Capital Carnage. Yeah, that's where the match happens. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's probably another Copeland type, or maybe Copeland's post that. We'll see, but or he'll win it. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's fine. I mean, I've liked the gimmick in recent weeks better than I have recently, because it's just kind of plateaued into what the story is, right? Where it's just, hey, like everything you just laid out. It's a heel and his guys running the show, and you don't see the title, which I like that they haven't ruined that gimmick. We haven't seen the AEW World Title. I saw it at the Notre Dame quarterback who won yesterday. I don't know if you're watching that game. He had an AEW title, which I was like, oh wow, that was good branding for AEW. But yeah, I think it's totally fine, and it's all about who takes it off of him. It doesn't matter, because Moxley beating. We're at the point now where it's like he can lose this title. We've done the first match. We've done an in-between match. We've done the four-way match. Now you have some real people coming back from injury. If you have Cope, if you have Darby, if you have Swerve, whatever, man. It is then it's like on the table for him to lose. And if he wins a lot of those, I think that's where the money is in this character.
So when you look at everything with AEW right now, well, let's just talk. Let's talk the elephant in the room. Is Cope a good name for Adam Copeland?
No, of course not.
What are we doing with that? Why?
I don't know. Maybe it was that, and then Roddy suggested Adam as a name, and that got turned down for obvious reasons, where he would just scream and be his manager. But yeah, it's kind of crazy when you hear it in the match, and Excalibur's just like getting it over every 5 seconds, and all the puns are there, and that doesn't help. And yeah, it's weird. And it doesn't like flow either.
No,
the rated R superstar, or is it Cope the rated R superstar? Like Copeland's a fine.
Does it matter? I don't even think it matters.
Yeah, like it should be Cope Dog or something if you want to like have it be like that. It's like Adam Copeland, he's Cope Dog. Like someone named Nate is Nate Dog, right? Everyone knows a Nate Dog. Yeah. So If you did that because he's got that dog in him, whatever. I think that works as well. And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help that he's back. He's outstaged by Kenny's return, obviously.
Yeah.
Even though he was placed later, and I thought he was fine last night, but he's immediately back into merged into traffic as like a Jay White, a Ricochet type guy in this company.
Boy, I can't stand the Cope name. I really think that is a just terrible disservice to Adam Copeland, to Edge. Like someone's got to step in, whether it's Tony Khan or Chris Jericho or Moxley, and be like, whoa, dude. Cope?
Mm-hmm.
What? That's just no.
Yeah.
Atrocious. That's an atrocious name. Like when I first saw it, I was like, damn, someone in the production truck messed up. They messed up big time on the name, because it was like, surely that can't be his name. Oh man. So if you were to grade things out, we got a comment here. Super chat says, don't like casino gauntlets or casino battle royals. This is from Sean. I don't hate the match concept. I don't like that it is the decider typically for like world title shots, which is what this is, because it's always somebody like Jungle Boy who wins it. Mm-hmm. Like some random kind of like person who will masquerade around as a challenger and inevitably lose, and I think that's probably what's planned for this. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't like it. I think they overuse it for big things. Yeah.
I mean, it should be. That's why, like, in my head, it was like, okay, this is like Darby wins and he gets the Revolution match. So you can build that over time and go from there. But yeah, I think Zach in the chat might have it nailed down who's going to win that based on the promo. So, that would be in line with you, Zach Haythorne, to where this is going. And, which I like, that is like actually good booking for where this character is. I think that gets over the point we were talking about with Moxley before. If you get the, relatively legend guy, and, Moxley destroys him, leaves him bleeding and kills his dreams, I think that works.
Yeah. So AEW, not only is it just the start of the new year, but it's kind of the start of a new world for them in terms of, their programming, in terms of where they are, in terms of people finding them. They're on the Max platform now. If you want to watch 2019 AEW, you can, pretty much in its totality. They've got Dynamites there. They've got the pay-per-views on Max. So they're there. They're up and running. So when you take all that into account, I mean, right now, I'm going to ask you two questions. Is AEW better off now than they were 6 months ago? And is it thumbs up or thumbs down on like the product overall today?
Compared to 6 months on the second question too. Yeah, I would say I'm slightly, thumbs up on both questions in the last 6 months. Like there's little things, the yeoman's work, the dig in the ditch aspect of getting things back in order. That, you might not have the biggest matches of all time, but just the fact that everything I talked about at the top of the show, choosing your stars, having all of them on the debut episode of this, they took the opportunity that they've failed so many times with potentially a big number. They, are acting like the entire audience doesn't know every bit of wrestling lore that's ever happened. Jeff Jarrett explains who he is there. Imagine watching that and you haven't watched wrestling in a long time. You're like, oh, why would I care about Jeff Jarrett? He did like a relatively good job pointing out why, if you want to care about him, you should. And and they're building for matches for their WrestleMania, right? I mean, it is what it is. WWE's got the, recipe down to run a successful pro wrestling company. And that's having at least one huge mega stadium event every year. For AEW, they've kind of tried to have their cake and eat it too, with All Out, with Double or Nothing, the original four, Revolution and Full Gear, like treating all four of them like their WrestleMania. And then when you do that, none of them, obviously All In each and every year is WrestleMania. We are leading to, Omega and Okada, which is probably the biggest match they can put on for people like us. And they should be able to do a good enough job presenting them in a way because they are treated special at this point, especially if you're not watching AEW regularly. Like, you haven't seen Kenny wrestle in 2 years, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And Okada works the way we want him to work. Maybe not, the video package we get of him, we would probably not sign off on as like a top star.
Yeah.
Who he's like hanging around with. But the amount of times he works on television outside of a tournament, we definitely would approve. So just all those things and many more. Having the Ricochet character work. After 2 weeks ago, we were burying it because we thought, hey, this is AEW. I don't know what they're doing, and there's no way they have a plan here. And they did have a plan, right? Like, those things like that are vast improvements for what the product was 6 months ago.
I agree. I think we're fair to both AEW and WWE on this show and all of our shows across our Brass Ring Media network. But the AEW has taken some steps backwards in terms of viewership, in terms of the size of the buildings that they're running, in terms of the amount of people who are going to their shows. Like, yes, they've taken steps backwards in that regard. But like, sometimes we talked about this for a while, that like sometimes you just have to like suck it up and like take those body shots in order to take giant steps forward, 6 months from now, a year from now, 18 months from now. And you have to build a foundation to do that. And like they burn so hot for the first, 3 years plus of their kind of time existing, that like they didn't even really have a chance to like build the foundation because they were just running so fast, and they were just, not, I want to say out of nowhere, but it just kind of they heated up quick, and there was a major appetite for that kind of a product at that time, and things changed. I think a lot of their identity, when you look back on it, was everything that WWE isn't, everything that Vince McMahon WWE isn't, is them. And once Vince went away and that product cleaned itself up, they lost a bit of that identity. And sometimes you have to go through the wall and get a little bloody before you can come out on the other side and have that identity again. And I think they're in the process of finding that. And I think that they've set themselves up nicely. They're going to lose They've lost Rampage. That's good. We'll see if Collision becomes more of a priority in terms of, something that people have to watch on a weekly basis. We'll see. But I'm with you and I agree with your reasoning. Like, the pieces are on the board, the pieces are on the game board. And now you move them around and you try to advance, but you got to get them on the board first. And I think that they've done a nice job with that the last 6 months. We got a lot of talk in the chat about the Pointer Sisters song. I really think it's a bad call. Like, I don't hate the song, but to me, it just doesn't scream like, all right, we're going to watch a bunch of people beat each other up for 2 hours. Like, and the Elton John song, I thought, for Collision was this very much the same thing. Like, it's like both those songs are like old songs that are good. I like them both, but I don't know that they give the perception that you want for AEW. That's my opinion. I don't hate it. I don't think it's a game, it's not going to derail them, but I don't know. I don't know what the hook is on that. I don't know why you have a Pointer Sisters song be the theme for your show in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, the positive side would be that it exudes major league, that you're licensing songs.
Yeah. Okay, I can buy that.
It's still the target WWE, not target, but the main audience is still a late 40s, early 50-year-old white man, right, for wrestling. So I think those songs tie more to that age demo. So that might have been a Warner thing or a Warner Discovery thing push there. And it was probably relatively affordable compared to other options from that genre. So yeah, that's all there. It's better than, light the fuse, bring the boom. A song you heard.
Bring the boom.
Yeah. A song, we've all heard like hundreds of times, and I am not even confident that's the first two lyrics of it.
Yeah.
That's very forgettable. And it's not Hardy, or like, if you don't like metal, who's the WWE Jelly Roll, who people like, Hardy, Poppy, like that's the kind of music for like pay-per-views if you haven't performed live. So I don't think WWE is doing like very mainstream what's connected with people either. If you would, it'd be Chaperone or Sabrina Carpenter would be the opening.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Or like Travis Scott or something like that,
Well, they do. I think Travis Scott is the new theme for Raw.
Yeah. What was that? This episode only? Or I guess that makes sense. It'd be for Raw.
I think it's for Raw. So I think
so
a home run on that one. Yeah.
So we'll see. It's got to be good too, though.
Well, right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, it does. So yeah, I mean, yeah. AEW, interesting spot. They're gonna be fun to watch this year, and it's not all roses, but no wrestling company is, but yeah, they've made some strides. All right, we're gonna pivot over to WWE here, and we'll talk the Netflix show coming up on Monday. We'll preview that. Definitely want to chat about that, and also tonight's SmackDown too. But first, let me set the table again here for new viewers. This is the Brass String Media Podcast. We do this show twice a week, talking AEW, talking WWE, talking the news of the week in pro wrestling with you. We're live twice a week now, right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel. Really great to see new faces and new people kind of jumping in the chat. Hopefully new people that are finding us either on social media or on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. We are bringing all of our live content over here in a partnership with One True Sport. And that means our two shows, but it also means a spotlight show on Wednesdays. It means Nocturnal Knockout with Robert Vallejos. It also means the Kick Ash Podcast with Ashley Mann. So all sorts of new live Brass String Media shows that you can find right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel beginning right now. If you're watching this and you're going, dang, I really wish I could get some of this as audio podcasts. Hey, you can. You can subscribe to the Brass String Media podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts, and all of these live shows, any live show that we do here will be on that feed for you just minutes after. So don't fret. Join us on YouTube when you can, of course, but also then take us around wherever you go if that is better for you. So thank you all who are joining us for the first time. We appreciate it, and glad you're here. Okay, WWE makes history in a very big way on Monday night. They are going to debut Monday Night Raw on Netflix in what is essentially like a pay-per-view, I think, from a card perspective. I mean, it's they've got all the big names set for that show and then some by all reports. A couple really big matches. You've got CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. You've got Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa in the Tribal Combat match. Rhea Ripley challenges for the World Championship against Liv Morgan. And then Drew McIntyre faces Jey Uso. Also, they are promoting John Cena for the show as well. So, I mean, they're, and I wouldn't be surprised to see The Rock. I wouldn't be surprised to see a host of other top guys and legends. I think they're going to pull out all the stops to make this show feel really, really big. I want to preview all the matches, but before we do that, Tyler, just your take on WWE finally moving to Netflix. I mean, it's been about a year of anticipation. They're there. They've certainly made a big deal about it, and we're just a couple days away. So, I mean, what do you think this means for WWE, their momentum, and kind of 2025 for them as a wrestling company?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think they're excited that Netflix has worked out a lot of the kinks for live programming on their platform.
Yes.
I mean, was there any issue in the football games? Not that I remember.
Not that I've seen
all of them.
Nope.
So, from the Tyson fight now, I mean, I think that probably did twice the viewership. I think it was like 30 million for those NFL games and like 60 for the Tyson stuff. So, if WWE did those numbers, that's a different
Maybe fine
stratosphere.
with some glitches.
Yeah. And, that would be my follow-up take is, even if it's like, they're doing 1.6 on a good night, and, you can juice these numbers. It'll probably be by minutes. But some of these live things, Netflix has been releasing total viewers and concurrently at any time, whatever that means, right? So, if we're tripling the normal cable viewership, because just honestly more people have Netflix than they have USA Network. So that's just a level for WWE. It is, part of TKO, just mainstream entertainment, and it's a company that has two mainstream entities. And it's just, I think the narrative out of this will most likely be just that it's for people like us. It's just a different sport, basically, than AEW. And I think that actually is good for both brands.
Mm-hmm.
For WWE to be like, the evil empire once again for some people, because they're so big, especially when all the pay-per-views outside of the States are on Netflix at this point, right?
Right.
It's only a Peacock deal. So obviously it's probably going to transition over as well. So when these WrestleManias are on Netflix and they're getting huge numbers, I think if you're AEW, you tell good stories, you can build people, you could be a, roided out version of TNA in 2007, 2008, like leaps and bounds a bigger product, obviously, but like producing a lot of talent, being a place to, that's like good overall for the wrestling ecosystem, this move for WWE and for other companies as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't disagree with that. I mean, being on Netflix is big, it's a big move. It's the biggest streaming platform in the world. The one you can say a lot about WWE, no question about it. Good, bad, indifferent, but you can't say they don't know how to present big things in a big way and small things in a big way. That's annoying when they do that. But this is big, and they've put all the juice behind this. They were on the NFL shows. CM Punk is on there, talking about how the Bears need to get new owners. They're front and center, and it's their first. Yes, they've had the fight. Yes, they've had these NFL games now, but this is going to be their first regular weekly live piece of programming. And so that Netflix as a company is going to push the heck out of it. Going to push the heck out of it as well. And so it is a game changer. I'm curious as what the numbers come back with, or you'll know, if they're reporting them, that means they're good. If we don't hear anything, that means they're bad.
Yeah. I just wonder what's good for Netflix, right? Because it's the only thing, like you said, that they have 52 of a year. No matter what it is, they don't do anything 52 times a year for any of their content, even the cheap, easy to make content. So does that make a difference? Does it need to be the top 10 every Monday in perpetuity for it to be a win? I don't know. And we'll see. I'm sure there'll be conference calls from the TKO side and occasionally from the Netflix side to get into that. So we're back when it comes to business metrics. It's been a minute since we talked ratings and all that stuff. So that's maybe not as exciting, but it's good content. So that's good for us.
So if I told you right now, and you keep in mind that Raw does about 1.5 probably on average.
Mm-hmm.
They level up during WrestleMania season, level down, during the NFL. So let's just call it 1.5 million viewers. So if I told you that they do 3 million people domestically, on Netflix, is that good or bad in your eyes?
Yeah.
What's your gut instinct on that? Because you could view, take it, because you could view it a lot of ways, but what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I have to get some from the Netflix executive standpoint. I don't know, because I don't know the number what they paid for these NFL games.
Yeah.
Because ideally, they paid, I think, a flat rate for both, or it was something per. If anyone knows in the chat, please drop it in here. Because if you do eyeballs, so if you do 3 million, that's just 10 weeks. You're evening, one NFL thing. And I think they probably pay as much for one NFL game as they do all year for WWE.
Yeah.
So that would tell me that's a great success.
Yeah.
Because you just want time, and also for Netflix, it is the first thing that's all the time. So you have a WWE fan, they're never not subscribing. to Netflix, which I think they will see like an increase that at least if they can target those people that start that, on the 6th buy Netflix for the first time and never leave. I think that's like a huge win too. So it's about lots of things, but the brass tacks is you double your audience by moving platforms. Like, yeah, it's a huge success.
Right.
Usually it's the opposite. You're worried about, So,
yeah. I mean, I think like, because you got to think that like, so what last year WrestleMania season, SmackDown would do what, like 2.4 million, like when it was really hot, like when the Rock was on it,
like 2.2, yeah, probably 2.4,
2.3,
5,
something like that. So if that's like the watermark of like, okay, well, we've done everything. Roman's on the show, Rock's on the show, Cody's on the show, and we can level up to 2.2, and now you get to do 3 just by moving. Like you're gonna make that bet every time. I mean, no matter what, you're making that bet. I mean, I guess it's not good for you if they're expecting you to do 6 million, but we don't know at this point. But I guess I say this all to just kind of get to the bottom line of like, this really isn't a bad move for them in really any kind of way. I can't see a negative for it. I mean, can you, like, is there a negative for them like going to Netflix here? I really, you know me. I'm trying to find the kind of the error in judgment, but I don't know. I don't know that it's there on this one. This is
I mean, Netflix is, as stable a entertainment vessel, for lack of a better term, for young people and middle-aged people and older people. It's just ubiquitous in American culture and world culture too. So like, if this is 10 years ago, it's super dicey. It could be the end of the company because they're probably not. They're paying 1/10 also for the product, and you're, just like the network could have totally buried that company, and it was the right call. So it's that vision that was more McMahon thing, but in a safe corporate way where it's like, hey, we know this is going to be successful, and we know that like we're going to be able to hit these benchmarks for our, for Netflix, and we think we can overdo it. So go over those expectations.
Yeah. All right, so the show, a big card, huge card. We'll start with CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. It's the main event, I think. That's how they've talked about it. So we'll see if it actually is. They had a giant go-home segment on Raw this week where it was pretty much Punk in the ring, Seth in the ring, and let's give them both microphones and have them go at each other. I thought this was like let me take a step back. I thought when I heard that this is what they were going to do, my initial reaction was like, oh man, this could be a home run, and this could also be like a terrible swing and a miss if they don't, if they lean into the wrong stuff, or if they leave too much on the table. They had to walk the line like pretty perfect, and I thought they did a nice job. I thought that like Punk was able to needle Rollins on stuff that was serious enough, but also not over the line. Same thing with Seth Rollins. I thought it got to a point where it, like, obviously it was meta, but it wasn't too meta. Like, I thought they walked that line pretty solid. And even if you, and how I judge these things is like, even if you didn't know any of their past history, could you understand what they were getting at just by what's happened on WWE TV? And I think the answer here was yes. So it felt like a big go home segment. I think it feels like a big match. I think that there's tension, there's drama. Like, this to me was a thumbs up build that, essentially lasted a year on and off. So I thought they did a nice job on Monday. So what did you think of the Monday build, or like the final go home, and then just the match itself? Who is going to win this thing?
Yeah, on the go home segment, I think they both learned, like, hey, Seth's perspective, like, I'm probably not going to get over the way I think I should, to like avoid some of those pitfalls. And then, Punk knows, like you said, what is like good for the character long term, not just going out there and, being CM Punk, right? Which is good, but can cross the line with certain segment of the audience of like that are ready to boo him, right? So so that was a good correlation, writing that line. But yeah, match itself, this is one thing where it's good. Punk gets hurt and has a thing with Drew because you kind of delay this. Who knows if this is the original plan? I would doubt that when you have, Seth Rollins freaking out at CM Punk debuting at Survivor Series 2023. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. It took this long to get here, but it all kind of worked out, and I'm glad it's the main event. It feels like it should be for this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it winning. I mean, I think it's Punk. They just seem to have more invested in him for the run here. I think both guys are fine in losing. It just depends what they do as a follow-up. If Punk wins, I think he probably gets a win back relatively quickly. And if Seth loses, it's probably a longer delay where you want to get that win back and then have maybe the one last prime Seth run happen sort of vibes.
Yeah, it's tough to predict. I'm with you. I think Punk wins this one. I just think that he has more momentum right now. There's more momentum to save or to make sure that you maintain with him right now than there is with Seth. I don't think Seth, even with a win, I don't think he launches himself to the next level with this. I think he just if he gets a win, all right, he beats Punk and he's kind of the same. Whereas Punk, I don't think he gets more over or more popular, but the perception around him is, he's still winning matches. He's on a road somewhere. Mm-hmm. Let's get behind him and see it, whether that's Roman, whether that's Gunther, whether that's somebody else altogether. I think the win does more for him. So I'll go with you on that one and say CM Punk. I think it's going to be a good match. I hope it is. You never know what kind of match Punk is going to be able to have. The good matches that he's had so far have been kind of the garbage style hardcore matches. His best match obviously is the Hell in a Cell. He wrestled in the War Games match. Those are his two best performances, and his worst ones were the ones just in the ring, where he's got to just have a wrestling match, which is what this is, even though Rollins is kind of building it up as a fight, more than a wrestling match. So we'll have to see what he can do in that regard. But, the backstory is strong enough for it to be a really strong match.
Yeah. And now we're doing 3-hour Raws once more too. So
yes,
does this match start at 10:40, 10:30, 10:48? That'll tell you a lot too. When the bell rings, not when the entrance starts.
Yeah,
and how many breaks? That I'm super curious about. Is it the same break ratio as normal cable? Hey,
it was for the NFL games. It felt like when you watch the NFL games, it felt like they were pretty much similar, I guess, to me.
Yeah. So, is that what they want? What do they want? One, Slim Jim has the apron, so they get a spot, a paper stuff. I think you're right. It's been the NFL one, but yeah, excited.
Yeah. This should be good. Okay, then we got Tribal Combat. Solo Sikoa against Roman Reigns. The winner gets the Ula Fala, and is the Tribal Chief, I guess. Is this the end, or is this the beginning? Is this the end of Solo Sikoa? And Rock comes in, or is it the end of Solo Sikoa and Roman just dusts him and that's kind of it? And Roman's the Tribal Chief again. This match has been brewing since SummerSlam. So, and even before that. So it's long build. They're paying it off here. But I think there's a lot of balls in the air for them to consider in terms of how they book this one. And what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Both your options seem impossible, right? A straight up win for either guy.
Yeah.
It seems like someone else enters the fray, a la Super Smash Brothers when you unlock a new character. Feels like that's what happened. It's probably some combination of the end of Solo Sikoa as obviously a leading figure for a while, and he's gonna bow down to whoever comes in there. If that's Rock, if Fatu finally steps up and loses his mind and becomes a problem for the entire roster, not just Roman Reigns, and he's gonna kind of put him down as the next line of the story. But something like that. I mean, there's no one else. I think we have every Samoan involved at this point that is associated with the family that has some credit in the business. So, The Rock coming out, and that, I guess if The Rock's coming out to close the show, that's going to close the show, right? So maybe it's not Punk and Seth, which would be funny from the Punk perspective. That Rock gets one over on you once again.
Oh my God. Yeah, I will say, if they have The Rock, I think this match goes on last. But yeah, I mean, because it's tough to read this. Like, if Roman beats Solo, then your story's kind of over, right? It's kind of over. Like, okay, Roman's got the tribal chief thing back, and okay, that's that. Now what? If Solo wins, then you have a different problem, which is, okay, so now what? Because we've done everything. Like, Solo beat Roman. What happens now to the bloodline? So like in either scenario, unless it is The Rock coming in, to do this, that to me is like, I'm trying to like think in my head here, but I don't think that is like the only real way to kind of keep the bloodline story going. I mean, I know that there's like, they've teased like a Roman Punk match for WrestleMania. I know that, John Cena's coming back and, all that, but I don't know an outcome here that keeps the bloodline hot if it's not The Rock or some other kind of major figure, rearing its head into this finish. Because again, if it's just Roman winning, like, it's kind of like, all right, bloodline story is over. And I don't think WWE has any interest in that at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only other options are like a Jay turning for no reason as like, hey, I never forgot, and now you're whatever. I mean, and that is like probably bound to happen, but that's like post summer of this year. Right. Where you think about something like that where you like need another lever to pull. Especially if Roman is not the champion, he needs the bloodline to maintain everything around him. So yeah, I mean, it seems like The Rock has to be there.
It seems like it. Yeah, it seems like it. So and then does that mean Roman wins and Rock appears, or does that mean Rock helps Solo win? And, then Roman fights The Rock for the tribal chief moniker.
Yeah, it feels like, Rock bottoms Roman and puts like a lifeless Solo on top, or like demand Solo pin him because he's the legal man and hand him the,
the Ulafala, like that. Yeah, that could work. That'd be cool.
Something like that, where it's like, yeah, he does it because he legally has to be the one to beat him. Yeah, I mean, it's anything goes, but you can't just randomly come in there and pin somebody and win. That's not rules of the match, but something like that, and that's cool. That's a cool visual.
Yeah,
and it might be like Solo says, no, I'm not doing that, and then Fatu is directed by Rock to destroy Solo, and then the pieces of the necklace are then given to The Rock by Fatu. That's a winning group, obviously, and that puts like that rock dust all over Fatu, which is post WrestleMania, him being involved makes him the big bad for Roman to take down after Rock. So obviously that's what they want to do.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and I'll say that. It's so hard to like pick. It's so hard to say the words Solo Sikoa beats Roman. But I mean, I feel like that's the storyline beat you have to hit if you want this to continue. So I'll take Solo.
Yeah, and then Roman can eliminate him in the Rumble, and then maybe get thrown out by
there you
go, Fatu or Rock or something too, to keep it going. But he can get his comeuppance if so desired.
All right, and then we've got Jey Uso against Drew McIntyre, grudge match. Definitely the come down match on the show, given the matches that are around it. Not much to say on this one, except there's no way I'm having Drew take a loss. So Drew wins and moves on. But I think he's just too valuable at this point as a heel to lose a match to Jay. So I'll take Drew.
Yeah, that's the way you said that. I thought you said that you're going to have Drew take a loss. I was like, what? Like, have I been watching a different product than you? I'm getting the A feed, you're getting the B feed or something. So, yeah, I mean, come down match, get the crowd behind it. Should be very fun. But yeah, Drew gets a win, and he's kind of in the heel swerve situation right now, where he's doing stuff, but like you're just getting him, like you're keeping him, outside the food temperature danger zone.
Yeah,
but you're still going to heat it up a little bit when you're about to serve him as a dish. So that's just the spot that he's in.
And then the last promoted match, we'll talk about John Cena here in a minute, but the last promoted match is Rhea Ripley challenging Liv Morgan for the WWE Women's World Championship. This has to be Rhea's time, right? I mean, like you've been holding on to this win for her since she came back, essentially. I mean, you've got more than you ever had any right to get out of a Liv Morgan championship run, but I would not play with fire on this one. I think you put Rhea over, you put her over strong, you get that big moment on the first episode of Raw on Netflix, title change, crowd goes nuts. I mean, this is a layup if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. It's definitely like the first match, probably not the first segment on the show.
First match.
But yeah, it's a way, like, I think we've all seen like videos anecdotally where people are like, oh, I talk to people who don't watch wrestling and all they ever asked me about is Rhea Ripley. Like, she's the biggest star anecdotally.
Yeah.
So, if that is the case, I assume they have better metrics than guys on Twitter talking about it, asking random people. But yeah, it's certainly her. And it's that big moment on a huge show. Like, we're talking John Cena days, right? Of like John Cena on top level of viewership. And she can be that for the women's division. And playing with fire here would be not good. I don't think they will, because then it's like, then that's like the whole show on Tuesday that you and I are going to do. It's like no matter what happens, that's going to be like the cope times 10. Not us coping about it, but cope, rated R. Cope.
The name.
Chat. Yeah.
Yeah. No, God. I mean, it's not impossible to see a world where they do that, but it would be not good. I mean, it'd be really bad booking.
Yeah.
And just stupid. I mean, just not smart.
Yeah. Even if you haven't seen anything, it's like a bad sign for that new person. And then for everyone that has been watching, that's like ready for this to be over with. It's also bad. So it's double negative to not give Liv.
It is, and I think like the other element of this is like you're conceivably you're going to be in front of a new audience in some capacity. Not everybody, is going to be brand new, but there'll be some new faces that are watching you. And so, how do you introduce your product to those new faces? Like Rhea Ripley winning the championship as like one of the most over baby faces in the entire company. That's a good way to do that. Like, that's a good way to like hook somebody in, same thing with Punk and Seth, same thing with Roman being on the show. John Cena is going to be on the show. Any inkling as to what he might do as a way to like really feature him? And I have somebody in my mind, so I'm wondering if you're on the same trajectory as what he will do.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We've seen it so many times, him open an episode of Raw in that talking segment. Seems like that's his spot, right? If you especially want to save The Rock for the end. Mm-hmm. Or like, what's Cody doing on the show?
That's where I'm going with
it. Okay. Yeah. So it's like, are they like, does Cena have his hustle, loyalty, respect belt, and they like let each other hold their belts awkwardly? I would not say that's a good idea, but some combination of them hamming it up as Cody's the 2025 version of John Cena, which is fine. It obviously works.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that's exactly what happens. And I don't know. I mean, there's been rumors dropping today that Cena and Cody is a WrestleMania match. This could be a way to start that. But Yeah, when you look at like John Cena, who they're promoting, and Cody, who they're promoting, and neither of them have anything to do, gotta think.
You can have them both announce they're in the not Cody because he's the champion, but Cena could announce he's in the Rumble, and Cody could come out and be like, "Hey, who are you gonna pick, pal?"
Yeah,
maybe it's Gunther, Cody, and Cena out there to like be like, "Ooh, who does the crowd want to see?" I'd be down for that.
Yeah, good point. And then what about surprises? Just open ended here. Any surprise appearances? Like, Steve Austin going to be there?
Like real surprises.
Yeah,
not like Undertaker, and who's certainly going to be there.
No, not Undertaker. Cool.
Because
yuck.
It seems like you don't burn them all here, right? Like a Becky, I think I'd say for the Rumble, since everyone else is here, and like that's fine, right? You have a lot on this show. Like at some point, you can have too much. Now, if she's on the show, not surprised at all, and she's one of your big stars, like. It still makes sense to present her to a new audience and get the crowd reaction there. Because, you're going to have the diehard pay-per-view audience crowd for this show. So they're going to signal to that viewing audience, like, this is a big star. And, like, her and Rhea at WrestleMania or whatever they want to do there, you can get that in there as well. So if she comes out and gets in the face of Rhea, it's hard to be like, that's a bad idea, because it's not. But, yeah. I'm trying to think. Where's Mania this year? Why am I blanking on that? Vegas. So I'm trying to think. Like maybe they have is Travis Scott there to perform? Like little things like that. Yeah. Or who's going to be singing at, or who's the host of WrestleMania? Like if that is a big time celebrity, and they come out there, I think that's like a place a surprise to have as well.
Yeah.
How about you?
Because they're going to be in LA. Intuitive.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, we'll have coverage on this show on Tuesday night. We do the first Brass Ring Media podcast every single week. So we will be able to review the show and talk in detail about it. So hopefully you pencil us in, join us right here on Tuesday night for Brass Ring Media podcast number 1 of the week. Hopefully you will be there. We've got a super chat from Sean here. We'll wrap up on this note. Okay. It ties into tonight's SmackDown, the first 3-hour SmackDown, I may add. Sean says here, I love giving talent more opportunities, and especially with a lot moving up from NXT, but 3 hours for Raw and SmackDown is a little much. This is the new world that we live in with WWE. We've got 3-hour Raw, we got a 3-hour SmackDown, and we've got 2-hour NXT. So that's 8 hours of, WWE programming, and they want you to watch all of it, of course. If you're WWE, you're riding a wave of momentum here. Good numbers, over stars, shows that people are generally positive about. And so you expand. You don't want the bubble to burst, though. And having extra content that fans are not clamoring for is a good way to burst that bubble. I don't know if WWE is there yet with this, but I do hope that they've got, some strategy in place where they're going to be able to fill these shows up with stuff that matters and not overexpose talent at the very same time. And that's a tough puzzle to put together. But that's what they're tasked with if they want to keep the momentum going, in my mind.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot, man.
I think you'll probably have more casual viewers deciding which one they watch on a regular basis. Like some people are going to be Raw only, especially as it starts here. And it'll be kind of that old school days. Like it hasn't been like that under Triple H. It's been more like, hey, both shows are good. Mm-hmm. They're kind of connected enough where you kind of feel like you have to watch both, especially on pay-per-views, right? And that's going to still be the case, but it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if Raw is a 10 or a 9.5 out of 10 and SmackDown's like a 6, like it's going to hurt tremendously.
Yeah.
Or if they book in a certain way where, hey, you can skip the last hour almost all the time or vice versa, then that's also, and that time slot sucks too, the last hour.
It does. So. I mean, when you think about it here, like, okay, you had 4 hours of programming across 2 shows, and now one show is almost as long as both of them. I mean, that's a lot. Brandon in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm an exclusive WWE speed. Oh, I love it. You
most efficient way to go.
Brandon.
most efficient way to do it.
Yeah. So Sean, I mean, we'll see. I would not classify it as a little much. I would classify it as a lot much. I mean, that's a lot. That's a big ask. That's a big ask. And they got to be careful. They've got to be careful, because then they're going to ask for Saturday night's main events, and then they're going to ask for WWE speeds, and then they're going to ask for, I don't know, some kind of Netflix special or biography or whatever. Like,
and the NXT is going to be 3 hours in 3 years or whatever that contract.
Right. Or even today, there was a report coming down from Fightful that they're working on some reimagined version of that WWE Level Up show, where it's like, a true kind of, well, not a true indie, but an indie in that it's talent that nobody knows about. I mean, so, at some point,
they can't make it on NXT, basically. Yeah.
Right. Or aren't ready would be the nice way to put it. So, it's a lot. It's a lot. And they've got a big task ahead of them. For as exciting as the Netflix premiere is, for as exciting as, SmackDown is, and going to 3 hours, and WrestleMania season and all that, they've got a responsibility to make this stuff worthwhile to their audience that they're cultivating. Because it's gonna be real easy to just, all right, fine, I won't watch 8 hours of WWE this week. That's not a hard call to make if the product's not really good. So they've got it's exciting, but they've got a responsibility to fans here too, to make this buttoned up and good.
Yeah, it's like a late August, early September sort of like, where are we at on this, to put a pin in. Yeah,
for sure. Yep. Yeah, we'll be doing a show, coming out of SummerSlam probably, of like, okay, how is this madness going? And we'll see. Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining the show today. Appreciate it. It's been a fun debut here on One True Sport. We're excited to bring Brass Ring Media live content here to this channel, and you can catch more of us over on the Brass Ring Media platform. A couple ways you can find our work. One of them is on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. I hope you guys go over there, subscribe to what we're doing there. Also, you can check out our daily newsletter, which is all of our written work. It's on Substack, totally free to subscribe there as well. You get all of our written content in your inbox every single day, whether it's a feature or some kind of editorial or show review or interview or something. But from myself, from Tyler, from the team, we get that something out every single day. So totally free to do that. Just search Brass Ring Media on Substack. And then, of course, we do offer Brass Ring Media membership, where we've got exclusive content for our members. We do a member-only podcast once a week, which we're going to go and record right now, talk a little Wrestle Kingdom, a little Wrestle Dynasty. We do that once a week for members. Our members also get access to all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows that we do, so you can check out those there as members, access to our Discord community, specialty shows, and specialty content throughout the week as well. So membership's $4. That's all it is for our kind of main tier. Give us a try. The first week of your membership is free. It's a great week to do it, and we hope to see some of you guys over there. So once again, it's on Patreon, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. Tyler, any final words?
I don't think so. I think I'm good first time here, everybody. Good to see some new faces, and hope you guys enjoyed what we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for giving us a shot, and hopefully you guys come back. We're live Tuesdays and Thursdays, and with a host of other stuff. So subscribe here on One True Sports, subscribe on Brass Ring Media so you don't miss anything. But thank you so much. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And we'll catch you guys next time. See ya.